Next, he started a graphics business for the printing industry. He joined Toastmasters to improve his speaking ability to hold workshops. The title of Cliff's speech today is PPO versus HMO. The purpose is an 8 to 10 minute briefing on specialized information drawn from his career, profession, or hobby. It is aimed to be at the interest and knowledge levels of his audience. He is to employ body language, vocal variety, and enthusiasm to make the speech meaningful and interesting. Please welcome Cliff as he delivers his briefings on PPOs versus HMOs.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
This morning we're going to have a little briefing on types of health insurance. There are two major types. One being fee-for-service, which is you go to the doctor, he charges a fee, and you pay him, or you get an insurance company to pay him. If that doctor has a contract with an insurance company, then he will submit a claim to the insurance company. If he doesn't, then you pay the bill, and then you submit the claim to the insurance company. That's the one major type of insurance, the old-fashioned type. The other one is managed care. And under managed care, they're trying to keep costs down, keep the premiums down. So they have the medical professions try to control what's going to happen as far as your care. Under the managed care, we have two basic ways of operating. One is called a PPO, or a Preferred Provider Organization. The other one is an HMO, or Health Maintenance Organization. The Health Maintenance Organization was actually created by Kaiser Permanente. They are very unique in the fact they are an insurance company. They own the hospitals and the clinics, and all of the employees work for Kaiser. So the doctor is an employee of Kaiser, which is quite different than all the other medical policies that we have. So other organizations wanted to copy this type of organization. So they formed medical groups. Generally, it was a group of doctors that would get together, or retired doctors, and they would form a group. Then they would contract with the various insurance companies. In California, when I started, we had about 10 insurance companies. Now we have maybe 5 to 6 major ones. They tend to go out of business because of the restrictions in California. We have federal laws, and then we have California laws. The California laws are so strict, they can't afford to do business in California. There's one other state that's worse, New York. I remember when they created theirs, limits and restrictions on the insurance companies and what they could pay the agents and everything. Within a couple of years, there was only like 1 or 2 companies left in New York. But anyway, the Preferred Provider Organization is set up where the doctor organization, which is a group of medical doctors and laboratories get together. One of the big ones here in Orange County is Monarch. These organization then does a contract with the insurance companies. And each year they renew the contract. So throughout the last few years, I keep getting these emails that says, Monarch did not sign the contract with Blue Shield. So all you people who have Blue Shield, got to find a new doctor. And I say, okay, well, don't worry. About 2 weeks later, boom, they negotiated and they got the contract going. And they will also have contracts with the hospitals. And so we get the same thing UCLA is a tough one because almost every year I get these emails that UCLA didn't sign a contract. 2 weeks later, they signed the contract. So they're on that list almost all the time. One of the disadvantages is that this PPO organization, which is a group of doctors generally, they're in control of what treatment you're going to get and how you're going to get it. An example, a few years ago, one of my clients called me and he's saying HealthNet, which happened to be the main insurance company, is not allowing this procedure to happen for me. I said, well, it doesn't make sense. It's covered, right? You know. So I'm dealing with HealthNet, and then I'm trying to figure out where his organization is and what's going on. And then I see this email come through that says, this organization just filed for bankruptcy. So I said, okay, now I know what happened. They were in big problems. Now what happens with the PPO organization is that they are given money from the insurance company that goes through the organization of doctors, the PPO organization. And that's why they are in control and they try to limit what procedures you're going to get. And that's why the fee-for-service is better, because you can go to any doctor you want, get any procedure you think you need or want. Where with a PPO, and even worse with an HMO, you can't just do that. You have to get permission, basically. We call them the gatekeeper with the HMO. Now the HMO is really restrictive because you are assigned or you choose a primary care doctor under an organization you want to deal with. And that doctor, we call him the gatekeeper because whenever you want to get some treatment, you have to go there first. That doctor examines you and says, oh, okay, yeah, I think you need to go see the pediatrician or you need to go see the orthopedic surgeon or whatever. Now, Blue Shield a few years ago came up with an HMO that allowed you to self-direct yourself to the specialist. But you couldn't get all the treatment. You could go to the specialist, be evaluated, and then you had to go back to your primary care doctor to get approval to do these other procedures and go on. But it did give you a little more freedom as to what treatment you could get and what doctors you could get. And one of the other things that I would hear from time to time, I hear it on the radio or whatever, I hate my HMO doctor. Okay, change him. You can change him once a month. That's 12 times a year. So if you don't like your HMO primary care doctor, look for a new one. Today it's very easy because you can just go online. A few years ago you had to go get these little books and look at this 8-point type and say, okay, what doctors are here and where are they? So that's why there's big challenges going on with the payment. Who's get paid, who doesn't get paid, and the controls that's going on. And that's where the federal government then stepped up and said, okay, we can do a better job. So they passed some new laws that went into effect starting in 2010. It's going up to 2014 before it all kicks in, little by little by little by little. The first brilliant idea they had was that all insurance companies must accept children from birth to 19 years old, regardless of medical conditions. So what happened? The insurance companies started analyzing this. So wait a minute, we cannot afford to do this. It's impossible. So they stopped offering policies to children. Doesn't exist. So if you need it, you have to go to the state or some other organization to get the children on their own. Covered. So again, we have these state interfering and then the federal government interfering now. And once you become 65, you have to go the state support or federal supported insurance called Medicare. Medicare is really a difficult one. I just went through the training again. I got to do it every year to be able to sell myself this policy, so I get the commission. I did the federal mandate. Took, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours, and I thought, okay, I passed the test. I'm off and running. Then I said, okay, now I got to go to those insurance companies, and with the new federal regulations, they have to test us on every one of their policies. I spent all day Sunday one day with Anthem Blue Crosses, passing all of their exams, so I could sell myself. And the few people that I have are on those that I need to roll them into a new plan. So that gives you a little information. Difference between HMO and a PPO. You have more control of your personal with a PPO, but yet they're still controlling you. And under Medicare, they still have fee-for-service. And evidently the guys in Washington didn't like fee-for-service because that's the one they went after the most. Make more limits. So there's fewer fee-for-service plans available now than there were before they passed the new law. So with the summary of that, I hope we've helped you understand more about HMOs and PPOs and which to choose. And with that, I thank you for your time. Thank you.
I asked to provide an evaluation. It always helps that we get this little notes. Or particularly for me, it's best if you tell me where I need to improve. Don't be so kind.
Yeah.
Diane, would you please the light? Turn the light on. Thank you. And now I'm delighted to introduce Scott, who will be presenting Jill.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Today, we're introducing a speech from Gilles, number 5 from the Competent Communication Manual. His objective is to use stance, movement, gestures, eye contact to express his message and his point. A little bit about Gilles. Most of you know he was born in France. He spent most of his time growing up from birth to adulthood on farms in France, in Normandy, forging these great memories. On his grandfather and uncle's farms, he learned many life lessons and core values. Today, we will learn from Gilles. The only good question is the name of his speech. Let's welcome Gilles to the podium, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So good to be with you this morning. Today I'm going to talk to you about the only good question. You must be wondering, how can be just one good question? Well, I'm referring to the insurance world. There is only one good question, and that's what I want to talk to you about. Especially that in these days, we don't hear too much about the only good question. We hear all kind of different things. If you turn on the TV, if you watch a football game or anything, when advertising for insurance comes out, the most popular one, 15 seconds will save you $250 or something like that. Well, is it true? It's questionable. Second thing is, that's definitely not the good question. So what is a good question? The good question is, are you properly protected? Because insurance is not how much you pay every month, it's how well protected is your castle. How well is your family is protected. Let's imagine, okay, you got excited by that ad, like many people here in America, over the last 10 years have switched to those save you $20 or $200 companies. And then something happened to you, an incident. A split second, not 15 seconds. It just takes a split second. And something goes wrong. What will happen to those people? How are they going to survive? Will they have to leave your home, to go and rent an apartment? And all that. That's what I want to talk to you about today. How we take care of our castle and our loved one. The problem with that message is that it's not a fun message, and we don't really like to hear about it, but it is the truth. None of us like to talk about insurance, and let me ask you, when was the last time you reviewed your insurance portfolio? You had somebody look at it from the standpoint of where you are today in your life. Because that's what is important. We should review our insurance every year, once a year. Why? Because the insurance industry is changing all the time. Because our lives are changing all the time. Kids are growing up, maybe a new one comes, we get married, we get a new job. Wow. Some of us are making big money right now in the stock market. I guess there are very few, but who knows? Maybe you are one of those few. My point is that things change, and insurance is about protecting your assets, your castle that you've been spending most of your years working so hard. How many hours a week do you work? And you're telling me that the amazing thing to me is that people, to save $20 a year or $40 a year, we put that and that at risk. You see, a good agent, that's what he does. A good agent doesn't really focus on how much you're going to have to pay every month, even though for sure it's important. We know we need to be sensitive to that reality. But really going to focus about how to make sure you are properly protected. Because you see, those things, they happen every day. Actually, how many? 14,000 a year in California. Wow. And I know we always have a tendency to believe that it's never going to happen to us. Those things happen to the other guys, but not to us. Imagine what the guy said, the one is a third car there, I'm sure when he woke up in that morning and he took the road to go to work, he said, those things don't happen to me. I've been driving 40 years and I've never had an accident. Well, that's true. Probability is getting closer. You know, those things happen every day to everyone. What about this one? You come home or you get a phone call from the fire department and your house is on fire. I had a friend not too long ago, their neighbor's house caught fire. And the fire was so intense that it just slipped over to their house and destroyed over 50% of their house. They may have saved $30 on their policy, you know, because they responded to that, you know, save money kind of hard in 50 seconds. I guarantee you at the end of the day, what happened to the family if the insurance is saying, well, sorry, you know, we're not going to cover this, we're not going to cover that. You know, the lawsuit is the worst, especially today in California. This is one of the biggest cause of loss, of bankruptcy, you know, family losing their home. Do you know that in California, a judge can sell your home if it's worth over $75,000 to pay for a claim? Okay, how many of you live in a $75,000 home? Do you know that your wages can be garnished, you say? 25% of your wages can be garnished up to age 65. Now imagine what would that do to your saving account? What would you leave behind to your children? To be properly insured is what it's all about. There is nothing else, and I know that the only good question, and that's my point that I'm sharing every day with people that I'm working with or I'm talking to. Why? Because, you know, at the end of the day, I know we don't like to pay too much, but at the end of the day, we want to take care of our family, isn't it? We want to think that they're going to be okay, that our children, that we will have the money to provide a home, clothing, and maybe Christmas gift. Because at the end of the day, that's what insurance is all about. Thank you, Diane.
That was perfect.
So let me ask you, you know, you're going to see a lot of people through the Christmas season, a lot of friends, a lot of people you love and care. Okay. Ask them if they are properly insured. Thank you.
I was so
Diane,
thrilled.
he gets 30 extra seconds if,
He's fine.
you know.
He's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, I think it's me. Yeah, go. Go ahead and take a minute or so to finish your evaluation.